Hey there, everybody. It's your good pal Dustin back with another episode of Turn It Around. We are on episode 49, one away from 50, excuse me. We are continuing talking about the parables of Jesus. We are on part 4. We've gone through the parable of the sower and the seeds. Excuse me. And we've gone through the parable of the lamp and the basket. And now we are moving on to the parable of the speck and the log, which comes from Matthew 7, 1 through 5. Do not judge, or you too will be judged. For in the same way you judge others, you will be judged. And with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? Some translations may change plank to log, just so you know. That's what I'm going to be using. This is from the NIV. How can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, when all the time there is a plank in your own eye? You hypocrite! First take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. Excuse me, goodness gracious. Allergies, or trying to catch a cold or something, I don't know. But anyway, sorry about that. So, first thing we gotta identify is, what is judging others? That sounds... Excuse me. That sounds like a simple thing to know what that means. The definition of judge is this: form an opinion or conclusion about. Now, that opinion or conclusion can be positive or it can be negative. Judging leads to judgment, which means the ability to make considered decisions or come to sensible conclusions. Now, that word sensible is important. Excuse me, you're probably going to hear a lot of that because I think I have allergies or something. Sorry. Sensible. So, like, you can't make judgments off of emotion, off of anger, off of hatred, off of sadness, etc., etc., etc. It needs to be a simple, informed conclusion. Those conclusions can either be positive or negative, the negative being condemning. In this case, Jesus is talking about the negative judgment or condemning someone else's actions. So now that we know what it is talking about when it talks about judgment, judging others, we need to ask ourselves, why? Why do we judge others? Now, many reasons exist for why we judge others. Why we seem to delight and revel in seeing the faults of others over our own. It could be pride, could be anger, or it could just simply be liking to gossip. There are many others, but those are what I feel might be some of the main ones. It is also a way for us to justify ourselves and our actions by saying something like, look at what that person has done, what I have done is not nearly as bad. Excuse me. So an example of this would be like, I'm going to use a very simple and not extreme example. So say you are, I'll say a teenager. I'm sure everybody has either thought about this or done this once, at least once. You want a stick of gum. You want some gum. So, you don't have the money for it, or your parents won't buy it for you. So what do? You bloop, and bloop, and you stick it in your pocket. You stole. Now in your head, you're like, well, that's bad. I shouldn't have done that, later. But then maybe on the news later, that same store was robbed of all of their profits for the day. That's the word I was looking for. So then you can look. Then you look at that and say, well, that's a lot worse than what I did. So mine's not nearly as bad now. So I don't have to feel so bad. But we need to remember, again, excuse me for the nastiness that you are hearing. We need to remember that in God's eyes, all sin is the same. Stealing is stealing, whether it is a simple stick of gum or an entire safe's worth of money. Stealing is stealing. The only difference God makes is defending oneself. Like if you are a soldier and you have to unalive other people because you're at war or whatever, God does take that into consideration. But obviously unaliving somebody when you're not at war or anything and you just do it to do it because you're evil or somebody pissed you off or whatever, that is murder. Unaliving people in war is not considered murder as long as those people you are unaliving are fellow combatants. If you unalive a innocent civilian, then that is murder. The speck and the log. So what is the difference? What is a speck? A speck in this context would be seeing a minor fault in someone else. Again, seeing somebody steal a stick of gum, but you may have stolen, what's something that's a little bit more, but still not extreme. You steal a bottle of soda, such as perhaps in the way someone else speaks. I actually gave an example, and I am stupid because I forgot I did that. So such as perhaps in the way someone else speaks. So if somebody else speaks, they use a lot of curse words, whatever else, that is a minor fault. That is something that is so petty to point out that it is considered small. It is considered something that doesn't matter. A log, in the difference, is also called a plank, which it was in this translation. I'm going to use log. But both are something that can support an entire building. So, if you judge somebody based on the way they speak, but you are having an affair, for example, which one do you think, as a human, is worse? Again, to God, all sin is the same. But as a human, which sin do you think needs to be removed first? I'm sure most of you would say the affair. So you're having an affair and you're trying to pick the speck and changing the way someone else speaks. How can you do that when you yourself are mired and weighed down by a log? We spend so much time pointing out others' minor faults, minor flaws, that we miss our own major ones. Specks can and do hurt. I'm not saying the specks cannot lead to worse things. We have all gotten some stuck in our eye, whether it be an eyelash, maybe a speck of dust, grass clippings if you're mowing the yard, etc. We all have gotten something in our eye at some point in our life. And we do know those specks hurt. Well, maybe not hurt, but they are annoying. Some can hurt, but most of the time they are just annoying. But if it's not taken care of, a speck can cause a lot of eye damage. It can cause you to lose your eyesight if you leave it alone. So it is important to take care of the specks. It is important to fix those minor faults. It is important for us to help our brothers and sisters in Christ to take care of those specks, but only after we have removed the logs in our own lives, which will cause irreparable damage. If you get, I can't think of the name of it, and it's not a log, but it's a good analogy. A long time ago, I don't know, maybe it might have been something like 50, 60, 70 years ago, something like that. A long time ago in basis for me. There was a case of a man who had a piece of rebar go through his eye. Again, I can't think of the name of the person. I'm sure you've all heard the story at some point, especially if maybe you've gone to like medical school, and if you've gone to medical school, you've probably heard the story. Now, I don't know how the guy, I do know the man survived, but I don't know. I want to say he lost like that whole half of his face. Could be wrong. I can't remember exactly what happened other than he did survive. But a piece of rebar, a piece of metal, actually it might have been a railroad spike now that I think about it. But either way, those are major trauma. That is major trauma to one's eye, to one's head. And it's not something that can be repaired. At least not as of today. Maybe in the future it can be, but as of today it can't be repaired, as far as I'm aware. So compare a railroad spike, a piece of rebar, a log in your eye, to a speck in someone else's. Which one do you think is going to cause the irreparable damage first and faster? The log, the railroad spike, the rebar. The speck can be left until we have fixed our own major faults, our own major flaws, and removed those logs, those railroad spikes, those rebars. Then we can see clearly to help our brothers and sisters take the specks out of their own lives. Our log and prayer, sometimes we can't see our logs, whether it be because of fear of confronting those logs or simple pride. Confronting our logs is scary. I'm not going to pretend it's not. It can disrupt our lives, cause our lives to change, etc. And most people do not like change. They don't like their lives being disrupted. But it is important that we confront those logs so that we can see and return to the path that Jesus laid out for us. The path that leads us to God. The path that leads us to heaven. Prayer is the best way to get started. Pray that your log be revealed. Pray how you can remove that log and ask for God's help and forgiveness for that log. We are not perfect, and God knows this, but He loves us anyway in His infinite grace and mercy. He loves us and wants to help us remove our logs. So remember, my friends, that God does want to help you. God is waiting to help you. He's waiting for you to ask for His help. As always, I thank you for being here. I thank you for watching, giving me your time. I hope people get something out of my words. I hope God speaks to them through my words. I hope that my words help you if you are a little lost. I hope my words can help you find your way back to the path of God. I thank you all for the 100 subscribers. I know that's not a major milestone in the vast sea that is YouTube, but it is a major one for me. And I thank you for getting me there. If you like what I'm doing, you want other people to see it, please remember to like and share my videos. The likes help with the YouTube algorithm to get my videos to more people. And then, of course, sharing gets my videos to more people. So, if you like what I'm doing and want others to see, please like and share my videos. I would greatly appreciate it. And the people that see my videos, whether it's because the likes got my videos to other people's recommended pages, or whether you share them with other people, they will eventually appreciate it. So until next week, my friends, remember that I love you, God loves you, and please remember to love yourselves and those around you. Till next week, my friends, bye!